My thumb is floating over a bright red send button on my phone. It is 9 o'clock at night and I am sitting inside my big Ford F-250 truck. The engine is on, making a low rumbling noise like a sleepy bear. My headlights are off so nobody can see me hiding in the dark. I am parked inside the shadows near the edge of the big fancy Vale estate, like a quiet ghost no one notices. Through the truck's front window I can see two people standing up on the high balcony. They are my parents, Theron and Isolde Vale. They are holding shiny glasses full of sparkling gold champagne. The glasses catch the bright lights like tiny stars in their hands. They smile and laugh loudly, not knowing I am here watching. Their happy noises float across the huge green lawn, the same lawn I used to mow for free when I was younger. In my hand my phone glows like a tiny moon. On the screen bright white words stare back at me. Project Oak Root, execute eviction. My other hand squeezes the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turn white like chalk. I can feel anger and sadness and something sharp all inside me at once, but on the outside I still look like stone. The truck smells like wet soil and diesel fuel. The floor mats are covered in dry mud, cracked like desert earth. My boots press on the pedals and they are dirty too, leaving brown crumbs everywhere I step. I was going to help you, I whisper softly into the dark as if the truck window can understand me. But then I heard what you said. My mind suddenly jumps backward in time like a story flipping pages fast. The memory is clear, sharp, painful. I was in my greenhouse, trimming a small Japanese maple tree. The warm, humid air was thick, foggy, and little water droplets slid down the glass walls like slow tears. I held a pruning tool in one hand, carefully cutting tiny branches like a tiny surgeon doing quiet plant surgery. Then my phone rang, loud in the silence. I picked it up. No greeting. No, hello. No, how are you? Just one sharp word. Callista. It was Isolde, my mother. Her voice was cold, sharp like scissors made of ice. I need you to bring the juniper bonsai tonight, she said. I stopped cutting. The phone was pressed awkwardly between my ear and shoulder, digging into my skin. The greenhouse smelled like leaves and earth. My fingers were still brown with soil from repotting baby succulents earlier. The gala is tonight? I asked. Obviously, she said, her voice dripping with annoyance. 40 years of the Vale Art Gallery. Important investors. The Vanderbilts will be there. Then she paused and her voice changed to a tone I know too well. Slow. Heavy. Like she was talking to a small child who couldn't understand things. You owe us, Callista, she said. After everything. Those two words, after everything, fell onto my heart like heavy rocks. I turned to look at the bonsai tree beside me. Tiny. Twisted. Beautiful. I had grown it for 5 full years. It even won a prize, a competition. People said it was worth $8,000. The branches bent perfectly like gentle green waves. Every needle placed by nature, guided by my careful hands. The soil was rich, dark, alive. I mixed it myself with patience and love. I spoke softly. It might not work as a centerpiece, I said slowly. It needs special care. Light, water, right temperature. Don't be difficult, she snapped fast. We need to impress the Vanderbilts. Bring the tree. 6 o'clock. Then she hung up. Just like that. No please. No T-Bramu. Not even a goodbye. I stared at my phone heavy in my hand. I should have said no. I should have laughed and turned my phone off. I should have finished pruning, quiet with my plants, peaceful with my work. But I didn't. Instead, I stood still in the greenhouse, surrounded by 200 plants I grew from tiny seeds and cuttings. I stood there as the hot air wrapped around me like a blanket, and I felt something inside me shrink small like a scared mouse. I own a business. A good one. A business that makes more than $100,000 a year. People hire me because I am good, very good, at what I do. Yet standing there, phone still warm from the call, I suddenly felt like I was 14 years old again. When I was 14 I had an art scholarship. A big one. Could have changed my future. But Alaric, my brother, wanted to go to a private school, expensive and shiny. So I gave up my scholarship. I gave it to him. Just handed away my dream like it was nothing. Dad patted my shoulder then and said, "That's my girl. Family first." I never got another scholarship. Never again. But Alaric did. He got his architecture degree. He got praise. He got everything. And I got silent. Always helped. They never helped me. But a tiny piece of hope grew inside me like a sprout. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe if I brought the beautiful bonsai, maybe if I gave them something valuable. My work, my time, my love. They would finally look at me and truly see me. Maybe they'll see me this time, I whispered, voice tiny like wind in leaves. I wrapped the bonsai gently in soft cloth, carrying it like a baby. I placed it carefully into the truck bed, tightening ropes so it wouldn't fall. I pulled up behind the Vale house. Not the front with the grand round driveway and giant fountain where the rich people would enter. No. I came through the service entrance where workers park and nobody important looks. Alaric stood waiting there. He leaned against the wall in shiny designer shoes that probably cost more than my monthly insurance bill. He looked at me, smirk curled at the corner of his lip. Not with love, not with kindness. He flicked dirt off my truck tire with the tip of his expensive shoe like my truck was too dirty to exist near him. Stay out of sight tonight, he said. The adults are doing business. He is 30. I am 27. But in his eyes I was always less. Always a helper. Never equal. I didn't reply. I just lifted the heavy bonsai, more than 40 pounds. My arms shaking slightly, but I did it alone. Alaric only watched, hands in pockets, smiling small and cold. As I walked inside, I glanced toward the main entrance. The Vanderbilts arrived early in a shiny black Mercedes. Old money can smell desperation. I saw it in their quiet whispers, in their raised eyebrows as Dad greeted them too loudly, too eagerly. His tuxedo looked good, but the sleeve cuffs were frayed. A seam splitting under pressure. The veil image breaking, but still pretending to shine. Mom came through the door as I reached the steps. She didn't open it for me. Didn't offer to help with the heavy pot. She just stared. You're late, she said. And couldn't you wear something nicer? I looked down. I wore work jeans and a flannel shirt, clothes that smelled like mulch and fresh plant life. Clothes that belonged to me. My life. My world. For a moment I almost left. Almost drove home to change into something pretty for her. Something to make her less ashamed of me. But I stayed still. I breathed slowly. I'm delivering a tree, Mother, I said calmly. Not attending your party. Her mouth tightened like someone closing a door. Dad appeared behind her and looked straight at the bonsai, not at me. This will do, he said. The Vanderbilts like Eastern touches. No Tibramu. No kindness. No pride in me. Just neat. Just talking. Alaric walked behind them, grinning like he won something. At least she's useful for something, he said. My hands trembled as I placed the bonsai on the long table. And a sharp truth cut into me clean and cold. My family takes. They never give. Now I sit in my truck in the dark, phone glowing in my hand like a live spark. Through the front window I see Dad raise his glass. Mom laughs softly at some guest's joke. They have no idea I am here. No idea what I'm about to do. My thumb presses send. I was inside adjusting the bonsai on the table. The lowest branch brushed my fingertips, soft like brushed velvet. The ceramic pot left a wet ring on the shiny table wood. Then I heard them. Dad's voice. Loud, smooth, trained for crowds. Coming from the private viewing room. The door was open a little, just a crack. A microphone squealed then steadied. They were practicing. Slide 14, Dad said. Good. Perfect. I froze. Through the crack I saw a big glowing screen. Alaric stood beside it in a perfectly fitted suit, holding a crystal award that sparkled in the dim light. The slide showed his picture with big words. Alaric Vale, the visionary winner of the Architecture Excellence Award. Another slide. My slide. A photo of me covered in pond mud. Hands dirty, clothes soaked, hair messy, the face smiling so big it reached my eyes. I remembered that day. Last spring. I was fixing a backyard pond, scooping muck and algae. The owner laughed at my joke and snapped the picture because she said I looked happy. And I was. I loved my work that day. Dad spoke again in his smooth voice. A voice he uses when selling something. We will show investors, he said. This is why we do not let children stay in the dirt. Alaric laughed loudly like this was the funniest joke in the world. Should we say she actually charges people for this? He said. Real money for mud. They both laughed. Practicing the joke. Perfecting the hurt. Dad continued. The contrast is important. Alaric's sophistication versus. He paused like a drumbeat before a punchline. Whatever Callista is doing with her life. The words weren't angry. Not loud. Not wild. They were worse, cold and planned like a knife laid neatly on a table. She is our cautionary tale, Alaric said. A lesson in failure. So we can show we recognize quality. The Vanderbilts will like that, Dad added. They will see we are not sentimental. My hand touched the wall to stay upright. The plaster felt cold and real while everything inside me felt like it was falling. I looked into a mirror on the hallway wall. Same flannel. Same jeans. Same ponytail. But the eyes looking back at me belonged to someone new, someone awake. A truth shined inside me crystal clear. I didn't want their approval anymore. I didn't need it. I was not their daughter tonight. I was their prop. Their jokes. Their pictures make Alaric look brighter. I turned and walked away. No one noticed me leave. The cooks were busy. The florist kept arranging flowers. Workers moved with tired kindness, so different from my family. A young caterer looked up as I passed the back exit. "Miss Vale," she asked softly, "are you okay?" My reply was steady as stone. "The centerpiece won't work," I said. She didn't question me. She simply nodded. A small act of kindness that felt bigger than any gift my family ever gave. I reached the truck. Set the bonsai gently in the bed. Covered it warm and safe like a living treasure. The engine started. I looked through the window into that shining house. The fancy hallway table stood empty. Only a wet circle left where my tree had been, like proof I once existed there. The clock said 7:15 p.m. Guests would arrive in 45 minutes. Their show would start. Their slide. Their jokes. But not with my tree present. Not with me there to watch. Now at 9 p.m. I sit in the shadows watching, remembering, deciding. My thumb presses send again and now everything will change. My phone buzzes inside my pocket. The screen lights up bright and blue. It shows a name I know very well. Isolde. I press the silent button. I do not want to hear her voice. I do not want to answer. Tears start running down my face like rain on a window. My hands shake on the steering wheel while I turn onto Ocean Avenue. My heart is beating too fast like a bird trapped inside my chest. My body feels full of fear and anger. All the feelings crash through me like big waves in a storm. But under the crying, under the shaking, under the hurt, something new begins to grow. It feels strong. Hard like iron. Cold like ice. Like something inside me finally woke up. Because tonight I did not just take back a tree. I took back control of myself. I remembered who I was. At 7:45 p.m., my truck rolls into the gravel lot outside Verdant Horizons, my greenhouse. The business I built with my own two hands. The building glows warm yellow in the dark like a giant lantern. Light spills through every glass window. The glass walls shimmer like gold as the sun disappears behind the hills. 2 whole acres of shiny glass and silver metal. Big. Strong. Beautiful. My hands still shake even after I park. The truck engine cools slowly, making tiny ticking sounds like a sleepy animal. I sit there still, just breathing, staring at the building that came from my dreams. 3 people work for me here every day. Last year we made $847,000. Other people would say that means I succeeded. But right now money feels tiny and far away. Because tonight something bigger happened. Something inside me changed. Through the window of the greenhouse I see movement. 2 figures, Bram and Alara, still working late under bright grow lights. Bram picks up heavy river stones and drops them neatly into the company truck. Alara rolls long black irrigation hose into careful loops, neat as rope on a boat. They see my truck. They stop working. Bram walks toward me first. He still has his work gloves on. His face already shows worry, like he can feel something is wrong. Bram is 62 years old. He has been with me since the beginning, before anyone believed in me. His hands are rough like old bark. His heart is steady like a mountain. "Boss, what happened?" he asks softly. I open my mouth to speak but no sound comes. Just air. Just pain. Alara appears at the passenger door with a bottle of cold water. She doesn't ask if I want it. She just opens the door and hands it to me, gentle and sure. She is younger than Bram, maybe 45. Quiet. Calm. Strong like a river. Some people talk too much. Alara does not. She knows when words matter and when simple presence is enough. I take the water. My voice finally crawls out, shaky and thin. They were going to use me in a slideshow. to laugh at me in front of investors. The words sound small. They do not show how big the hurt was. They do not show how it felt to hear Theron and Alaric laugh about me like I was a joke, not a person. Bram's jaw tightens into stone. Alara's hand rests warm on my shoulder, gentle but strong. No judgment. Only support, real, soft, steady like a handrail in the dark. Come inside, Alara says, voice like warm tea. We walk into the greenhouse. Warm, humid air wraps around me like a blanket. It smells like wet soil, green leaves, and growing life. Rows and rows of tiny seedlings sit in black trays, each one with a little white label written by my hand. These plants do not lie. This place is real. This place is mine. Not like the Vale Art Gallery. Fancy walls, shiny floors, expensive art, but empty on the inside. Loveless. We reach the workbenches. I lean on one, still gripping the water bottle. I asked Lucien to come, I said quietly. He said he'd come if tonight went bad. Bram nods. Good, he says, simple and sure. He pulls over a wooden stool for me to sit. But I shake my head. There is too much energy shaking inside me. I cannot sit. My body feels like a storm. Then something surprising happens. Bram kneels at my feet. He starts untying my muddy work boots. I whisper, you don't have to. But he keeps going. He takes a rag from his pocket and wipes off the mud and dirt from the leather. Slow, patient, respectful. He does not make the boots new. He just makes them clean enough to start again. Clean slate, boss, he says softly. Or close enough. The words sink deep into me like roots into soil. They're never cleaned anything. Never kneeled. Never showed love through action. Bram does. Alara does. These two stand with me when my own family won't. The greenhouse door opens. A man walks in wearing a dark suit, Lucien Marlowe, my lawyer. 53, sharp eyes, quick mind, a person who listens and sees truth like a blade. Callista, he says, and places his leather portfolio on the bench. Tell me what happened. So I do. I tell everything. The bonsai tree, Isolde's order to return it, the slideshow rehearsal, Theron and Alaric laughing at me like I was dirt, the empty centerpiece table they left for humiliation. Lucien listens quietly, still as a statue. No interruption. He hears every word. When I finish, he opens his portfolio. Papers spread across the table like playing cards. Oak Root Holdings, LC, he announces. Alara leans closer, eyebrows scrunching. What's Project Oak Root? Lucien looks at me for permission. I nod for him to speak. 6 months ago, he explains, Theron's bank almost took the Vale Gallery away. They owed too much money. So Callista bought the debt through a shell company, Oak Root Holdings. Bram lets out a low whistle. You own their debt? $125,000, I say quietly. My rent. My building. My power. And they never knew. Alara squeezes my shoulder, not shocked but proud. Warm as sunshine. You were trying to save them, Lucien says softly. You wanted them to see your worth. I hoped if I became successful enough. My voice breaks. The sentence doesn't need to finish. They were never going to see you, Lucien says gently. Not the real you. The truth hits like a hammer, but also like healing. Painful but clean. My phone buzzes again. Isolde. Mother. The one who pushes me away but expects everything. I let it ring twice, then answer the speaker. Where is the tree? She snaps, voice sharp like a knife. Guests are asking why it's gone. I took it home, Mother, I say. Silence. Then fire. You selfish, ungrateful girl. Her voice pours poison like acid. She calls me trash. A failure. An embarrassment. Bram and Alara stand still beside me, not looking away, not stepping back. They witnessed my hurt and did not run. You ruined everything, she screams. Don't come back. The call ends. Just a beep. Then the soft hum of greenhouse fans fills the silence. Lucien looks up from his laptop. I can send the eviction notice right now, he says. Everything is ready. One click. The email sits waiting on the screen, cold, legal, powerful. I stare at it. Think of all the years they ignored me. All the times they made me feel small. My hand shakes. But my voice is steady. No, I say. An email is too easy. If they wanted to shame me in public, I will face them in public too. Lucien pauses. then nods like a general agreeing to war. What do you need? Lara asks. Her eyes are fierce and loyal. Just say it, Bram adds, standing tall. We hit them at the gala, I say. The eviction must be delivered by hand. Lucien smiles. A sharp, proud smile. I know just the process server. They can act like a late guest. The room changes. The air thickens with purpose. No more sadness. Now strategy. Now battle. I stand straighter. Wipe tears away. Look at my team, my real family. They wanted me invisible, I say. They're about to see me clearly. Ilara walks to a closet and pulls out a black dress, still wrapped in plastic. You left this after the chamber dinner, she says. I take it. Change right there, unafraid. Bram and Ilara turn politely. Lucien keeps typing, planning. The dress is simple and dark, knee-length. Ordinary. Quiet. But I put my boots back on beneath it. Scuffed leather, cleaned by care, strong like roots. They feel right. They feel like me. Lucien ends his call. The server arrives at 9:45, he says. Eviction ready. We deliver during the keynote for maximum effect. Perfect, I say. Bram grins. You learned from the best. I learned from you, I answered. By 8:40 p.m. I am back in my truck. The dress over work clothes feels strange, but the boots feel right, like strength wrapped around my feet. My phone glows with one button waiting. Project Oak Route, execute. I drive through the city toward the hill. The Vale Gallery sits there big and bright like a wedding cake. Golden lights. Loud music. Guests laughing, glasses clinking. I picture Theron and Isolde smiling with champagne. Thinking they won. Thinking I am broken. I tried to save you, I whisper. But then I heard the truth. I press send. The plan is alive. Eviction incoming. At 9:20 I walk through the gallery doors, for the first time ever. Chandeliers glitter like stars. The marble floor shines like a frozen lake. My black dress swings around my knees. My boots thump slow and steady, old leather in a sea of fancy shoes. People stare at the empty centerpiece table. A small vase of white store roses sits there, pathetic and tiny, like it knows it does not belong. The ring of damp wood where my bonsai once stood still shows if you look close enough. Isolde sees me. Her face changes like fast weather, shock, rage, then fake calm. She storms toward me, heels sharp as gunshots. How dare you show your face, she hisses. I am a Vale, I say softly. This is a Vale event. She grabs my arm hard enough to bruise. You embarrassed us, she spits. You made us look like fools. I stand still. I do not pull away. Did I embarrass you, I ask, or did you embarrass yourselves? People nearby stare. The Vanderbilts watch like judges. Everyone feels the tension crackle like lightning. Theron sees me. He freezes, glass halfway to his mouth. He whispers with Alaric. They look afraid and angry. They rush to start the slideshow early, to hurt me before I can speak. To make me small again. Alaric steps to the microphone. Before we begin, he purrs, I'd like to show something to our guests. Lights dim. The screen glows bright. First a picture of Alaric, handsome, shiny, perfect. People clap politely. Then the slide changes. There I am, dirty, muddy, laughing in the garden. Hair messy. Hands black with soil. Real joy on my face. No armor. No mask. They expect people to laugh. But I do not shrink. I stand tall in my boots. I know who I am now. And soon they will know too. The room was full of nervous laughter. Not mean laughter, but unsure, awkward laughter. People didn't really know if they should laugh or not. Some of them smiled nervously. Some of them looked at the people next to them, hoping they would know what to do. Alaric leaned toward the microphone. He looked proud. He looked confident. Some people, he said slowly, make great things that last forever. He paused. He pointed to a picture of himself on the wall, holding a shiny award. And some people just dig holes. People laughed, a little louder this time. They understood the joke now. Then Theron came up next to Alaric. He took the microphone from him. This is what happens when you don't go to school, Theron said. His voice was smooth but sharp. I stood in the middle of the room. The bright light from the stage found me. It shone straight on me like a spotlight on a small actor in a big theater. Probably Alaric had made that happen. Everyone turned to look at me. Every single person. I could feel their eyes. It felt like they were pressing down on me like a heavy blanket. This was the moment they had been waiting for. They wanted to embarrass me. They wanted me to feel small. They wanted me to feel weak. I lowered my head slowly. I let my shoulders slump. I put my hands together in front of me. I twisted my fingers like I was trying to hold myself together. To Theron, to Isolde watching from the side, to Alaric on the podium, I looked exactly how they wanted me to look. Broken. Defeated. Remembering my place in their world. Theron and Isolde looked at each other. They were happy. Triumph shone in their eyes. They thought they had won. Alaric smirked on the stage. He leaned back, relaxed. He looked like a king who had already won the battle. At the bar I could see them too. Theron picked up his champagne glass. Isolde met him there. They clinked their glasses together. The delicate sound of crystal on crystal made me notice how fancy and polished everything was. Theron leaned close to Isolde and whispered just loud enough for me to hear. She needed to remember her place. Isolde sipped her drink, leaving a bright red mark from her lipstick on the rim. Now she will see what real success looks like, Theron said. They felt powerful. Like they had trapped me. Like they had me boxed in and couldn't escape. But not everyone was happy. Near the Vanderbilt table, an older woman in pearls frowned at the screen. She learned to whisper something to her companion. She looked confused. She looked concerned. He seemed to think this was too cruel. The Vanderbilt matriarch's face was serious. No smile. No nod. Just a quiet, careful expression. If you knew how to read faces, her silence said a lot. It said that maybe Theron and Isolde were doing the wrong thing. But Theron didn't notice. He was too focused on me. On my bowed head. On my slumped shoulders. On pretending to be small. Kept my head down. I kept pretending. Then I looked at my watch. 9:43. Slowly I scanned the room. I found Lucien near the door. He was dressed like any other guest in a dark suit. His face was calm. He didn't stand out, but I knew he was there for me. Our eyes met. Just a small nod. A tiny movement. That was enough. Lucien stepped aside. The door opened behind him. A man in a dark suit walked in. He moved with purpose. He didn't look around. He didn't hesitate. He just walked like he knew exactly where he was going. I let my face stay calm. Let my expression be cold and serious. Something quiet and determined moved behind my eyes. Theron went back to the microphone. Now about our investment opportunity, he began, smiling. The man in the dark suit walked straight down the center aisle toward the stage. My scuffed boots stayed planted on the polished marble floor. I didn't move. I didn't need to. Theron stood at the podium like a king. The stage lights caught the silver threads in his tuxedo jacket, making him shine. His smile was perfect. Practiced. He looked like he had already won. The Vale family, he said, represents 3 generations of refined taste. I stayed in the middle of the room. Head down, shoulders slumped, pretending to be sad. But I was watching the door. Watching. Waiting. The man in the dark suit got closer to the stage. His shoes were quiet on the floor. His jacket was dark and simple. He could have been anyone. But his path was clear. Straight to Theron. Theron stopped mid-sentence. He looked annoyed. "Excuse me," he said, "this is a private event." The man didn't stop. He didn't answer. He just kept walking, steady and calm. "Sir, you need to leave," Theron shouted. The room went completely quiet. Conversations died down like candles in the wind. Everyone was looking. Everyone was waiting. The man climbed the steps to the stage, one step at a time. Theron's face turned red with anger. "Get off my stage, you peasant," he yelled. Gasps ran through the room. The Vanderbilts looked at each other. Eyebrows raised. The first signs of worry. Something was happening that they didn't expect. Theron didn't see it. He didn't notice the tension. He was too focused on me. Too focused on control. The man spoke clearly, calm and strong. "I know exactly who you are, Mr. Vale." He reached into his jacket. Theron flinched. But all that came out was a cream-colored envelope. Official seal. Legal-looking. "I am representing Oakroot Holdings," the man said. "You are being served with an immediate eviction notice." The words hit the room like a hammer. $125,000 in unpaid back rent. Big money. 6 figures. Enough to ruin reputations. Behind Theron, my muddy photo was still projected on the screen. The mud girl laughing. But now the meaning has changed. Now it showed power. My power. Theron's failure. Theron's face was drained of color. The Vanderbilts stood. Slowly. Carefully. They picked up their napkins and left. Without rushing. Old money doesn't run, but they left quietly. Other investors followed. Nobody wanted to be involved in this scandal. This is a misunderstanding. Theron stammered into the microphone. The man spoke again. Calm, professional. Your lease is terminated. You have 48 hours to remove personal belongings. Isolde ran toward the stage. Who owns Oak Root? She demanded. The man kept going. Ownership was transferred to Oak Root Holdings 6 months ago. All correspondence was sent to your attorney of record. Theron grabbed for the papers. His hands shook. He couldn't understand. His anger turned to confusion. I started walking. Slow steps. Not rushing. Just steady. Calm. The crowd parted for me like water around a stone. I reached the base of the stage. Stopped. Looked up at Theron. His eyes met mine. You, he whispered. I didn't apologize. Didn't explain. Didn't justify anything. I just held his gaze for 3 long seconds. Let him see all he had missed. All he had ignored. All he had dismissed. Then I turned on my heel. My black dress swirled around my legs. My work boots showed for a moment. The boots I wore on purpose. The boots I never apologized for. Lucien fell beside me. His hand touched my back briefly. Steady. Supportive. At the door I paused. I looked back. The room was frozen. Theron collapsed into a chair. Auric looked lost. Isolde's mouth was open. I spoke clearly, calm, and finally. The lease was always clear. I'm not your daughter right now. I'm your landlord. Then I walked out. Isolde screamed behind me. The sound of someone's whole world falling apart. The night air was cool. I didn't look back. The next morning, Isolde drove her Mercedes to verdant horizons. She still thought she owned the world. But she wore flats instead of fancy shoes. I was inside the greenhouse. Hands deep in the soil. Repotting a Japanese maple tree. It didn't need attention, but it gave me something to do. Focus. Something besides the car door slamming. Bram blocked her path. The boss isn't taking visitors, he said. Your daughter, Isolde said. Her voice cracked. I kept working on the tree. Snip. A branch fell. I shaped it carefully. Patience. Discipline. Family doesn't humiliate family, Isolde said. I stopped. Snip. Another branch fell. I pulled out a rag and wiped my hands. Reached into my back pocket. Pulled out a business card. I had carried it since last night. I walked to the door. Handed it to her. Bankruptcy attorney. Local. Good reputation. The lease was clear, Isolde. 6 months of missed payments. I'm not your daughter right now. Her hand trembled holding the card. And you're trespassing, I said. She left without another word. I was alone. But I felt strong. I would never let anyone destroy what I had built. 3 months later I stood on my balcony. Watching workers take down the Vale Art Gallery sign. The metal scraped the brick wall. I felt nothing. No anger. No bitterness. Just the warm morning sun on my shoulders. My building beneath my boots. Verdant horizons. My headquarters. My work. Alara read from the new sign. The workers finished. I sipped coffee from Bram, who knew not to ask. The $8,000 bonsai looked perfect in the window. Lucien arrived, leather portfolio in hand. Theron and Isolde signed the settlement. Auric moved away. No forwarding address. I nodded. Took a sip of coffee. They were gone. I was still here. The walls held photographs now. Beautiful gardens. Happy clients. People standing with smiles in the places I had made. No family photos. Only the mud crew. People who chose me. My real family. Business was thriving. 3 new contracts were signed last week. After everyone left, I stood alone on the balcony. Dust on my boots from the morning's work. Honest dirt. I remembered Theron's joke. Just dig holes. I smiled. Those holes became gardens. That mud built this. The bonsai caught the last light. Its shadow fell across my shoulders like wings. I whispered. I reclaimed my garden. My phone buzzed. New client inquiry. I answered. Verdant horizons. Callista Vale speaking. No apology. No shame. Just me. The building gleamed in twilight. Same balcony where they mocked the mud girl. Now it was mine. Fully. Wiggly. Completely.